Gospel of Mark, chapter 3, verses 20 to 30. Then the scribes who came down from Jerusalem said, "He is possessed by Beelzebul, and it is by the prince of devils that he casts out devils." And calling them to him, he spoke to them in parables. How can Satan cast out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rises up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand, but has an end. But no one can enter a strong man's house and despoil his property, unless he bind the strong man first, and then he can despoil his house. I tell you truly, all sins will be forgiven the children of men, and whatever blasphemies they utter. But whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit has never forgiveness, but is guilty of an eternal sin, because they were saying, "He has an unclean spirit." Reflection. When I hear this gospel, it sounds like Jesus is talking about people who didn't understand him at all. They saw him doing good, healing people, teaching everyone about God's love. But instead of seeing God's goodness, they thought Jesus was doing something bad. That makes me feel a little sad, because it shows that sometimes people miss the best things right in front of them. Jesus uses examples like a house and a kingdom to show that good can't come from something bad. If someone is doing something wrong, it doesn't make sense to think they are helping. He also talks about forgiveness. It reminds me that God is always ready to forgive us when we make mistakes, as long as we turn to him with love in our hearts. But Jesus also tells us to listen to the Holy Spirit and not harden our hearts, because that's how we stay close to God. This gospel helps me remember that Jesus brings goodness and healing, and that I should try to keep my heart open so I can recognize God's love all around me. Thank you for joining me today.